Last week we discussed the first kula that we have by Kesamim, which is that generally speaking, a kesam has to be a size of a gris in order for it to be tamei. Generally speaking, there are some exceptions, which we spoke about last week, which we won't rehash. But then there's other kulas of Kesamim that we have also. So the next kula is the kula of bigdei tzivainim, which means that the Chachamim only asered Kesamim that they find on white. But if you find it on a colored garment, then that is not going to be tamei from Kesamim. Now, the reason may not be negei anyway, bisman hazeh, the reason that they did not make the gzeira, but at the end of the day, since when they made the gzeira, they had reasons that they didn't want to aser begadim that are colored, so we get that kula, we're able to run with it today, in today's day and age, even if it's not so negei, bisman hazeh. So, what is considered colored? Is it only dark colors? What about light colors? What about light pinks? What about pastels? So the answer is that this is really actually dependent on the Paiskim in Eretz Yisrael and the Paiskim in America. There are some Paiskim in Eretz Yisrael that will aser Kesamim that are found on very light colored begadim. However, in America, by and large, there's the miniga Paiskim is that even if it's on light colored begadim, we'll get the heter of bigdei tzivainim. But we have to be careful that sometimes these light colored begadim, like light blues or light yellows, sometimes if they get washed over and over and over again, they can start to fade, and they can already turn into certain spots, at least can turn into off-white, and once it turns into off-white, you can already, off-white's the same thing as white, and then you do not have the heter anymore of bigdei tzivainim. So something that we have to be careful. Also, this that we're saying, and we're going to say also by Dvarim that are not makabel tumah, that when you find the kesem on something that's colored, or find the kesem on something that's not makabel tumah, that's only if that's when you find the kesem. If you find the kesem there, but if let's say the kesem is on somewhere else, let's say it's on your body, and you want to wipe it off your body with a bigdei tzivainim and get the heter of bigdei tzivainim, that's not going to work. It's only when you find the kesem on the bigdei tzivainim, or like we're going to say soon, the begadim that are not makabel tumah. Now, there's also some shilas that come up if, let's say, you have a striped beged. If some of it's white, some of it's dark, or let's say it's half white and half dark, and the kesem's on both. These are shilas that we really don't want to get ourselves into. Is machloksim. So Anisha should really be careful when she's tahar to only be wearing colored, solid colored begadim. Also, it's a good idea with your sheets. The sheets and the blankets should be colored. So during the times that you're tar, you won't get into any shilas at least you'll be mutter because we'll be able to be saimach on the heter of bigdei tzivainim. However, this is number one, only a heter not during the Zayin Nekiyim. Don't get any ideas about wearing bigdei tzivainim or dvarim that are not makabel tumah during Zayin Nekiyim, because during Zayin Nekiyim is a whole different set of rules. That's number one. Number two is that the Chachamim, most of the Paiskim, do not encourage wearing black. Black is not such a good idea because then you have absolutely no idea what's going on. It's like living with your head in the sand. We can't do that. You can get the same heter with bigdei tzivainim with other colors. You don't need to wear black. You'll get the same heter. But we still, the other way, if you're not wearing black, at least that way you're able to know what's going on with your body, and then we'll be able to assess the situation a lot better than if you have absolutely no idea because you're wearing black. So black is not such. It's not recommended, it's not encouraged by most paiskim, it's not such a good idea. Okay, now, there's another heter of dvarim that are not makabel tumah. So there are certain, if the kesem is only going to be tamei, the Chachamim said, if it's found on something that's makabel tumah. But let's say things that are not makabel tumah, for example, a toilet seat. If the toilet seat is not makabel tumah, then it's going to be mutter. Also, if a kesem is found on the floor of the bathroom, then it's not makabel tumah, it's going to be mutter. However, the shaila gets into what about other things like synthetics, or what about nylons, or what about pads, or toilet paper, or tissues. Those are big shilas, and I think that there could be an attitude of being very flippant about those things, and people know there's some sort of tshuva from Ramosha that maybe these things are not makabel tumah, but it's very not pashut. Even Ramosha himself, it's big chalukei deis exactly what Ramosha held himself about that tshuva. So it's not so pashut. If the situation happens to you, the shaila should be asked to a paisik to see whether these things are considered that it's not makabel tumah. There is one more final heter, is that when the heter of tluyas, the kula of tluyas, and that is that the Chachamim said that you can also be tala, you can assume that maybe this dam came from some other reason. If you have any other reason that we can say that the dam came from something else, some other source, as opposed to the isha, we can also be kula, even if it's very far-fetched. So, for example, if let's say Nisha has some pimples, or if Anisha has a bloody nose, or if she's working with a bloody chicken or liver and she's making these things, so these things could fall into the parsha of Tluyas, where the Chachamim say, well, we can always just maybe assume that the dam came from that other source and really not from her. So exactly what the Tluya is, whether we can apply it to the situation at hand, that has to be asked. But these are the coolest that we have by Kesamim, the size of a gris, the big day tzavayim, the things that are Makapal Tuma, and Tluyas.